ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Carolyn's entire family, thank you for your prayers and participation with them here this morning. As we begin, I'd ask if you could silence your pagers and cell phones for the duration of our services. It'd be very much appreciated. Upon conclusion of our chapel service this morning, we will call forth the 6 gentlemen who have the honor of serving as her pallbearers, and then we will proceed to the Santa Barbara Cemetery together as a group. Officiating over our ceremonies for Carolyn today will be Chaplain Paul Lenderman.
Hello, everyone. I am Chaplain Paul, and I'm really honored to be here today to officiate this service. It's always very encouraging to me to witness the unity and support that a family demonstrates in a time like this, and I'm honored to be a part of this celebration of life. As we have gathered here today to remember, celebrate, and honor the life of Carolyn Mooney, I want to begin by offering my sincere condolences to each and every one of you. It is hard to find the words to say to each other in times like this, but I hope that today we will be able to experience comfort and peace as we remember her life together. I would like to add that each one of you may feel a variety of different emotions within you during this service, and that is certainly okay because we all grieve differently and in different ways and at different times. Again, thank you for the honor of being here. Let us pray together. Oh God, we do thank you for the life of Carolyn. We thank you for her family and friends that have gathered here today to celebrate her life. And we ask that you would bring comfort and peace to each and every one of us this day. Please bless this service as we seek to remember and honor her life together. In your holy name we pray. Amen. I hope as you came in, you got a program with an order of service, what we're going to follow here today. And on the front has just one of the most beautiful pictures I have seen in a long time. I just think that is so beautiful. And on the back are some other wonderful pictures. And I'll say more about this at another time, but I had the privilege to know Carolyn. And one of the sweetest souls, my goodness, I've told so many people that, even our hospice team. And on behalf of Assisted Jacob, the nurse, and others, I wanted to share their condolences as well. And it's good to see some of the staff from the Artesian here as well. That's very special. But again, a great honor to be here as we're going to celebrate and remember this incredible person. We have 3 individuals that are going to share some eulogies. And then after that, as you see there in your order of service here, we're going to give you an opportunity, the rest of it, if you'd like to share something. So feel free to be thinking about that if you would like to. No pressure, though, of course. So at this time, we're going to have Charles. He's going to come, and he's going to share a eulogy and some thoughts with us.
Good morning, and thank you all for coming. I thought I'd talk about a few miscellaneous things about Carolyn rather than anything very specific. I did not write a speech, but I have a few notes. One thing I wanted to mention is when she was 4 years old, we moved to North Homestead, Ohio. We lived there for 24 years. She went to elementary school, high school, and was through college before the family moved away. It was a very small town at that point. I think her population was maybe 3,000 or 4,000. Her high school class had 47 in it, in contrast to some of your thousands in these days. She was very active in the friendship circle, the glee club, the Quill and Scroll, which is kind of an honor society, and was voted the most likely female to succeed from her class, which is kind of interesting. I hadn't remembered that. She went to Ohio Wesleyan University, graduated in 1955, and trained to be a teacher. She met her husband Ray Dykes, I think the first week almost of college, and they dated all the way through the 4 years, and then they were married about 6 months after she got out of college in a small church in North Hempstead, Ohio, the Universalist Church. And he was in the ROTC, so he got stationed eventually in Okinawa. Carolyn went over there. 2 of the children here were born there, and I have memory, probably not of Okinawa, but of living in military quarters and so forth. She had a very pleasant personality and was always happy, very trim. Even though she taught elementary school for 40 years, she always dressed properly. She felt that was important to make an impression. She wore suits, dresses, high heels, socks, everything to make the proper impression at a time when other teachers were wearing slacks and t-shirts and things, but she always wanted to make that impression. It was very, very important to her. She was an excellent teacher and had a long and distinguished career in principally Santa Ana, California schools. I jotted down a number of just kind of miscellaneous items. They're not necessarily sequential, but thought might be of interest. And she had cats and kittens when she was young. When we lived in North Hempstead, it was before dishwashers were invented, so we had to have a routine. Every week, one of the 3 children would dry dishes for mother, so we'd stand by the sink there and dry dishes and chatted a lot. It gives a great chance to visit with her mother and talk about the house and the school and all kinds of things, so that was kind of fun. She took piano lessons for years. She could play fairly well, but never had any what you call natural ability, so that was a bit of a chore for her, I think, at times. I commented on her always dressing well. She started correspondence with a family in Holland, Ben and Doherty. The way that started was right at the end of the Second World War. The local church was gathering things to send to people in Europe that were in need. And my brother wrote on a bar of soap, or on the package for a bar of soap, the name and address. And one of the people got it, knew enough English to write back. And this was Ben and Doherty. Ben could write, Doherty didn't know English that well. But anyway, they struck up a correspondence, and Carolyn corresponded with them for probably 30 to 40 years until she finally met them in Holland, and then they came over here about the year 2000, had a little time, but great pen pals, and shows you what a bar of soap and a name can do sometimes. It was one of the real highlights of her correspondence. She loved to dance. When they went on cruises with her mother, she danced and danced and danced. She belonged to a dance club down at Disneyland for some years. I'm not sure it still exists, but she went there for quite a while and had a lot of fun doing it. She went on Alaska cruises with my mother for at least 4 years, or 4 different times over some years after my dad passed on. And they had a great time. She particularly enjoyed the dancing on the cruises, among other things, but that was a very pleasant outing for her and shared time with her mom. She was very good at sending birthday cards, holiday cards, greeting cards to people, friends, family. Had a very good customer in the U.S. Post Office Service, I think. They enjoyed her. But she was very good at always making sure we got cards. In about 1999, she was able to buy a house in Orange and spent a lot of time having it refurbished. She wouldn't let anybody come down and see what she was having done until it was done. And she was very stubborn. Well, we'd like to see what you're doing. No, we don't. No, when it's ready, I'll tell you when you can come. And she did a lot of renovation on the house. There was a very large tree in the back, and she told the sellers, I won't buy the house unless you take that down first, because it was hanging over the back, and she wanted to do other things in the back, so she got her way on that. But anyway, she had a lot of fun with that house, and she had a lot of my mother's paintings hung up all over the house. My mother took up right, painting after she retired and went to Santa Barbara. She took an adult education class and really had quite a talent. So we have a lot of those pictures hanging around our house, and Debbie and the other daughters have them, I think, also in their house. So she was very, very involved in a lot of different things. We made a trip to London in 2000, Lyndon, she, and we had a good time. We visited some of the historic places there and went to Blenheim Palace, which was a very fancy, formal dinner one night, so that was very special. But we had a good time in England with her at that time. I must say, when she began to have some physical difficulties, she remained very upbeat all the time. She never complained, soldiered on and did a good job. Red was her favorite color, as many have red on. Well, very, very little red today. I've got a little bit of red. Sheila has a bit of red, but not too much. While teaching at Santa Ana, she, after she taught 10 or 15 years, got a master's degree in education, and certainly upped her standing within the school system by doing that. I was looking out in the little side room over here. There are a lot of paintings by Thomas Kincaid, and that was one of her favorite commercial painter. Her favorite painter would all be family, but commercial. And she had a number of Kincaid things around her house. Our mother got to be a pretty good painter, and Carolyn had a lot of our mother's paintings on her walls and right over her couch and elsewhere. And so between Thomas Kincaid and our mother's paintings, she had a lot of artwork around and really enjoyed it. Her house was always immaculate. She very specific about what she wanted done and how she wanted done. So she was sometimes could be a little feisty, I guess you might say, but otherwise she ran a good house, and it was a very, very welcome guest up in Pasadena where we live. And all in all, she was just a great sister, and thoroughly enjoyed it, having her with us and doing things with her over the years. And obviously our roots go back because I was born before she was, so that means we had about 90 years together through correspondence, through phone calls, or personal presence. Anyway, she was a great sister. I thoroughly enjoyed her, and so sorry that she passed on. But she had a very good life, a very long life, and fortunately a very healthy life, other than the mental problems that developed in the last several years, where she couldn't communicate with us anymore, but she could still smile, she could squeeze your hand, you had a sense she knew who you were. And that's a great ability when you get down to that point in your life. Anyway, that's, I think, all of my comments. I think, Debbie, are you next?
Well, I'd like to tell you about someone that I've known my entire life, my mommy. And she was always mommy to us. And Uncle Charlie's kind of covered a few things that I was going to talk about also, but I'll kind of elaborate on those.
I didn't see your notes.
I know. Well, they must all be true if we have similar things on our piece of paper, right? So I'm not making stories up here. But she often spoke about growing up. She often talked about what it was like to grow up during the Depression and World War II. She had a very happy childhood, and she would often say she was the rose between two thorns. Uncle Charlie, being the oldest brother, was on one side, and Uncle Don on the other side. She had a lot of pride about being able to wrestle with her brothers, and even showed off her muscles to her three daughters. She would be so proud of her strength. And so I kind of think she was a little bit of a tomboy sometimes growing up as well. She shared stories about selling strawberries that they would grow in the backyard, and grandma's cooking and visiting with relatives, even though people might have only lived like 5 miles away. It would take an hour to get there on the roads and transportation in those days. So they visited relatives quite a bit. She even talked about going into Cleveland alone on a bus at 14 with Grandma's charge plate to buy an outfit. So she was allowed to ride the bus, which was kind of, I think, a straight shot down into Cleveland from North Umstead. Our mom was a strong woman. She came from generations of strong women. And there were a lot of adventures that she had and a lot of challenges in her life as well. And she taught us many lessons by example and by her words. One thing that was kind of funny, I'm amazed at, is she loved to go fishing and fly fishing. And she would, if you can imagine for a moment, this 5'4", 110-pound woman wearing waders in the middle of a stream, fly fishing. But in contrast, she also loved to have pretty clothes, lipstick and shoes and purse that would match those outfits. And of course, the ultimate wearing pantyhose, no matter what the temperature was of that day. She taught us to be prepared and to plan ahead. She always made us take a sweater whenever we were going out in the evening, because in California, once the sun goes down, it gets chilly. She was active in her garden. She loved flowers, and she would often put plants and do some of her own yard work in her earlier years. She liked to prepare good meals and have them ready for when family came to visit. She didn't like to cook a lot when company was actually there, so she would make a casserole dish or something, so it was always ready when we'd come. 6 weeks after my parents were married, my dad was sent to basic training, so he was away right away after their marriage. And she was, alone during that time. She was teaching, so that probably kept her busy as well. They did write letters back and forth to each other, which Susie and I discovered some letters in a box, which she kept to this day. She had kept all those letters of their early time apart. My dad was the first one to go over to Japan, and Mom could not go right away. But when she did join him, she set sail on a ship, a naval ship, out of San Francisco with their dog, Rolf, who was a German Shepherd. And I think he was probably pretty much a big handful to this little tiny woman. She would remark about Rolf almost taking her overboard on more than one occasion during this voyage when she would take him out of the crate and walk the dog during the day. The only barrier between her and the Pacific Ocean was a wire cable strung across the edge of the ship. It was definitely not the Love Boat. Those cruises would come much later. I can't imagine sailing alone on a naval ship for a week or two and having to walk the dog on the deck all the way to Japan. So she's certainly braver than I am. She must have missed her parents, and especially her mother, when they had their 2 daughters, Karen and myself. Not having parents there to support her, helping change a diaper, walking a colicky baby, or rocking a baby to sleep. It would be 18 months before the grandparents would get to meet Karen and I. She insisted that she take care of her babies even though they had domestic help while my dad was an officer in Okinawa. My mom would say these were the happiest years of her marriage to Dad while they were in Japan. They got to explore Japan and Okinawa, see ancient sites, learn about the Japanese culture, and they had a good social life with the Air Squadron. This was a great adventure to live abroad, having children without relatives around to support you, and I imagine it was difficult at times, but she loved her babies. At 35, she was divorced from her father. With 3 daughters under the age of 10, she needed to go back to work. She immediately went back to college to earn 6 or 9 credits so that she could get recertified or certified in California to teach. She found a 3rd grade teaching position at Spurgeon Elementary School in Santa Ana, and then she would eventually move to Greenville Fundamental School, and she was finally promoted to the 4th grade. She spent a lot of time in 3rd grade. So for 25 plus years in the Santa Ana School District, she had a very diverse student population. This was during the time of the Vietnam War, and there were many immigrant children from Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam at that time, as well as many Hispanic students. And this is the time before there were computers, there were no ESOL teachers, there were just those ditto machines, and there was no planning time within the school day for her to prepare for the next day. So she spent many hours at home or at work planning and preparing. I can tell you from experience, she had about 35 students in her class, and I can tell you by experience that anything over 25 seems like double the amount of work. She would spend her weekends grading papers and planning lessons, and she would even take me to school some years in August to help her set up her classroom before school started, to put up her bulletin boards. And then I eventually actually helped her grade papers, spelling tests and basic math fact tests and workbooks, lots of workbooks in those days. No one in the family had more perfect handwriting than my mother. It was perfect well after she left the classroom and retired. She was an excellent teacher and was well respected, and she believed in the importance of teaching students to read and taught phonics to her students, even though it was out of vogue for a while in California. She was required to obtain a master's degree and did so in the area of reading from Cal State Fullerton, where I also attended as an undergrad. In addition to her master's degree, she became certified as a reading specialist. Education was always important to her, so it was instilled to us that learning was important, and doing a good job in school was what was expected, but she never made us feel bad about our grades. She just wanted to make sure we did the best that we could. She loved to travel, and after grandfather died in 1978, she spent quite a bit of time with Grandma in Santa Barbara, and the two were wonderful travel companions, and they enjoyed their time together. Mom and Grandma took trips together and many cruises to Alaska and the Caribbean. She also took a cruise with Susie to the Caribbean, Karen to Jamaica, and I believe the Caribbean also. And then I was able to go with her to Europe on a 12-day bus tour, and we ended up being able to celebrate Dorothy and Ben, her pen pals, their 50th wedding anniversary in Holland, which was really, really special. Mom liked to visit my home in Virginia many times over the years and to see her grandchildren and her granddaughter Jackie and Ryan. Ryan's here today. And she was actually present the day that my daughter was born, Jackie. She was known to us as Mom in our family. She got that name from Ryan because when he was little, he couldn't say Grandma, so he called her Mom, like Mom's mom. Mama is what they still call her today. Mom attended both of Ryan and Jackie's high school and college graduations, saw Jackie play varsity volleyball, and Ryan play soccer. She attended Lindsay's graduation from high school and many of Lindsay's important milestones in life. When the Meshag family went to Disney World in Florida, Mom came, and we were able to celebrate Jackie's 4th birthday while there. She came to Ryan and Megan's wedding in 2010 in Virginia. She spent several Christmases, Easters, and even 2 Thanksgivings at my home over the years. She was able to meet her great-grandchildren. She saw Haley about 3 times, and she saw her great-grandson. She got to meet her great-grandson, Doug, last year when we were out. Every holiday was important, and she always was either at Susan's house, Karen's, or Linda and Charlie's home. The family was always together for holidays, birthdays, and Mother's Day as well. Matter of fact, they would often do some joint birthdays because 4 members of the family have birthdays in March and April, and so sometimes there was joint birthday parties for Charlie, Susan, and Linda as well. Mom always was the teacher. Whenever I needed help with schoolwork, which I wasn't a very good elementary school student, I struggled with reading and spelling especially, and I didn't learn phonics very well. When I needed help in school, she would help me. She would read to me because I could comprehend things better if they were read aloud. When she sees her grandkids, she also makes every experience a learning experience. She took me out for driving lessons. Her place of choice to take me to learn how to drive in her, I think it was a 68 Cadillac, was the Fairhaven Cemetery, which was really close to our house. It was sort of like driving the Royal Caribbean's Icon of the Seas through a stream. But she said at least I wouldn't hurt anybody. Mom was a mother of 3 daughters, and I don't know how she ever managed that. We were not always easy, and the 3 of us shared a bathroom, so you can only imagine how each morning looked when we were getting ready for school. Mom really never changed. She never seemed to age. She kept the same weight most of her life. She was 5'4" and ranged between 110 and 115 pounds. Her hairstyle never changed. She colored it to the age of 80. And really, it's very difficult to tell an age in a picture because she looks so much the same. It's hard to figure out how old she was in certain pictures. You have to remember how old we were to figure out how old Mom was. She's the only person I know that could buy something and actually wear it out versus outgrow it. Her clothes fit her forever. Mom always swore by oil of Olay, and it kept her face and complexion beautiful all these years. And I've used that as well, as you can notice. Our mother was full of grace. She was kind and gentle person. She was compassionate and understanding, and she taught us to be thankful and to give thanks. She loved her daughters, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. Mom, may you rest in peace, knowing just how much you were and are loved.
First, I want to thank you all for interrupting your lives and making sacrifices to be here today to honor and celebrate Carolyn, my mom. You've heard about her early years and her middle years, and I just wanted to address her later years. I had the privilege of caring for her, as did Karen, for the past 8 years. My sister Karen dropped everything to move out to California to take care of my mom, and she did a great job. When Karen returned to Arizona, Dean and I moved my mom up here, first to Carpinteria and then to Ojai. Meanwhile, Debbie visited often, sent cards for every occasion and even for no occasion, and she loved them all. She read them over and over again. And of course, Uncle Charlie, her big brother, helped her maintain her finances and visited faithfully with my Aunt Linda. He was a man in her life that never let her down. He was always there for her. On this journey, we met angels everywhere. They're caregivers at her community, at the Artesian, 2 of whom are here today. Bless their hearts, thank you. And from the assisted living hospice program, we're so much more than caregivers. They loved on her. They danced with her. They sang with her. They prayed with her. They comforted her and they healed her. And in return, she expressed gratitude, initially with thank yous, then simply with sparkling eyes, a nod of the head, and a smile on her lips. My mom's life gave her many opportunities to develop and test her resilience. And in her final years, she demonstrated in full glory the grace that she had honed over the years. I can't imagine the pain that her arthritis wrought, the frustration of diminished vision, the stiffness that came from sitting in a wheelchair, or the exasperation of not being able to say the words that she wanted to say when she wanted to say them. But she didn't scowl. She wasn't bitter. She smiled at her neighbors and visitors and caregivers. She nurtured her baby dolls like she had nurtured us so many years before. She encouraged the hearts of caregivers like they did for her. She listened attentively as I recounted what everyone was doing. She delighted in the photos of kids and grandkids and great-grandkids. And although she did not speak often, she occasionally spoke in full sentences. 3 days before she passed, we had a long visit. And the movie Boss Baby was on the TV, and so the staff brought her a baby doll because it looked like Boss Baby. Afterward, we went outside and she kept her baby in her lap. And she said, she wants to go everywhere I do, as she played with the baby's legs. And I replied, who wouldn't? The day before she passed, Lindsay and I came to see her. She was relishing, really, an obviously delicious piece of vanilla sponge cake, watching something on TV. But when it came to say goodbye and Lindsay said, I love you, Grandma, she found her voice. She said, I love you too. I'll always cherish that moment. And I was thinking, what a wonderful way to exit stage left. We love you, Mom. We are so proud of you, your resilience, your grateful heart. We are grateful for the sacrifices that you made for us that we may never truly know. We thank you for providing for us, teaching us a good work ethic, and supporting our dreams. I will endeavor to live up to the example you set to bring gratitude and happiness into the lives of others, to be resilient when life throws you curveballs, to laugh, and to let love in. And I hope you guys will hold me to it.
Thank you. Those are such beautiful memories, all of you that shared that. It's beautiful. We wanted to give you the opportunity now, if anybody else wanted to share a memory or a thought, you're welcome to do that. And it might be best if you were to come up here and so we can hear you and make sure we have that. If you'd like to, no pressure. Would anybody like to share a memory, a thought? Yeah, sure.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming today. The past couple of days, I've been thinking, reflecting, trying to decide if I was going to speak today or not, and thinking about memories that I had with my mom. The majority of them that I have are snippets from when I was very young. Learning to love broccoli from her chicken Devon, going to the beach, the pool, Disneyland. As I got a little bit older, being all the way on the other side of the country, the time we shared was more in phone calls than actual visits. I remember every Sunday night, the clockwork phone call from my mom. She, both my mom and Grandpa Dykes were able to attend my high school and college graduations, and that was really special because my college graduation is when I proposed to my wife, Megan, and able to share that special day with her means a lot to me. As I reflect back on the person that I thought that I will remember her to be, I'll always remember her to be a especially gentle soul. And this was at most prominent memory of that is when one Christmas in the late 2000s, watching her open her gifts extremely carefully, making sure not to rip the wrapping paper, folding it back up afterwards so that it's as pristine as when it came off the roll, to take care of something like wrapping paper and be as gentle with it, showed her type of the character she was. Sadly, as we both grew older, it became harder for her to travel and harder for me to travel as well. So the memories in my more recent years are fewer and farther between, and I didn't fully appreciate my mom until the good years had gone past us. Not until I had children of my own did I realize everything that a grandmother and grandfather do for their children and for their grandchildren. So what I would like to leave everyone with today is, if you're a child, or if you're a grandchild, make sure that your grandparents know that you appreciate and love them. If you're a parent, help your children appreciate and love and spend time with their grandparents. And then for all the grandparents, thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you so much. Anybody else to share a word? Okay, we do have one more, okay?
Good morning. I think I know all of you, but I'm Dean, Susie's husband, and I had the opportunity to first meet Carolyn when I was 19 years old, and then we took a little bit of a break, and about 30 years later I met her again, and she was just as gracious as I remembered her, and I'd just like to thank her for all the wonderful qualities that she built into Susie and her sisters, a major contributor to the joy in my life. So thank you, Carolyn. As we had opportunity to help her move from place to place, it was impressed upon me what an organized, prepared person Carolyn was. She had stuff to do stuff that was just unbelievable to me. She had supplies and equipment to repair window screens. I mean, she was prepared for every contingency, and organized, a supporter of so many good causes. I'm not sure if it was mentioned, I think it probably was, but after she retired from teaching, she taught at the Blind Children's Center, and she was just always looking for opportunities to live her resources and her experience and her wisdom into the lives of others. And we can all certainly take a page from that and apply it ourselves. As far as preparing for things, I know that she was a benefactor to her grandchildren's education, and thank you for that, Carolyn. You've definitely set them out on some good trajectories there with the contributions that you've made in that manner as well. We always enjoyed our visits, always a smile, a twinkle in the eye. She really enjoyed just interacting with people and telling stories and just being present. It's a gift to all of us. So thank you, Carolyn. We'll miss you, and thank you for all that you've left with us.
Thank you so much. At this time, I'm going to ask you to direct your attention to the screens, and we're going to watch a Celebration of Life slideshow.
My muscles are getting sore.
Are they?
My arm. I don't want to curse all my candy though.
Yeah.
Those are beautiful pictures, and I like even the little videos in there of her dancing. Was that at Grand Vita Senior Living in Carpinteria? I was the music entertainer there for years, so this is really interesting to me because obviously I knew her at the Artesian, but I'm one of the entertainers and therapists there, and that was Felipe, the activity director. So this is just really amazing. This happens like once a year. To be honest, to know that I've known her even before I met her at the Artesian, it all comes back to me now. So that is incredible. I knew there was something special about this woman, even more so now, knowing her. That's where I first met her, back in Carpinteria. How about that? Incredible. As we said, I was one of the music entertainers, so I would sing with her, not only just publicly, like in a forum, we'd do singing and the residents would dance and things of that nature. But then visiting her, I had the privilege to sing with her, one-on-one as well. And I would sing a variety of different songs. We would sing when you're smiling, the whole world smiles with you, because she had just that, radiant smile. And she would always smile like that. And she would even dance in her chair sometimes when she wasn't able to stand up and dance there towards the end. And then we'd sing, you are my sunshine, my only sunshine. But then I also had the privilege to sing a song to her that I'm going to sing now. This song was published in 1779. It's one of the oldest songs that we currently continue to sing and cherish, and it's has been called the most sung song in all the world, and it's Amazing Grace. And so I'm going to sing this now. If you would like to sing it with me or hum along, you're welcome to, or just listen. We'll sing this as we continue to think of her this time. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. how precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. 'Tis grace hath brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. I want to thank Susan again for helping me put this together as we were working on this, and her sisters for their support, and all the family for that matter. And it's just an honor again to be here. In case I have not personally met you, my name is Paul Linderman. I am a certified chaplain and a certified grief counselor here in the Ventura County area. Believe it or not, I'll be 48 years old next month. Been married for 27 years, and we have 4 children, which are all girls. So please say a little prayer for me, everybody. Even my dog is a female. I'm completely surrounded at my house. I've been working in spiritual and bereavement care now for over 25 years, and I've had the honor of supporting a lot of individuals and families, and it is always a special thing to me, regardless of the family dynamic, to see the love that a family like this one has for each other, and also for the dear person that has physically passed away, and also the love that they had in exchange for their family and friends and other people even that would come into their life, like caregivers and hospice staff, and it's just incredible. And today is a challenging day because we're celebrating Carolyn's life and we're also grieving her passing at the same time. Queen Elizabeth II said, and I quote, "Grief is the price we pay for love." End of quote. Very simple yet profound, because we loved Carolyn when she was alive. We love her right now in this moment. And the truth is we always will love her. Just like was said, alluded to a moment ago, we'll never stop missing her, never stop loving her. That love will continue on and just manifest in different ways, but she will always be very special to us. And it can be very difficult when somebody passes away, and grief is a very real thing. You don't suddenly get over it one day. I say you don't get over a loss, you get through it, one step at a time. And even within wonderful families like this, we all grieve differently and at different times. And I'm often asked in grief counseling sessions that I have individuals, also in support groups, what can I hold on to now? Now that I can't hold my loved one, I can't hug them, hold their hand. Now that I can't do that, what can I hold on to? And I just wanted to share a few things with you briefly today before I read a scripture. I would say hold on to your surviving loved ones. That might be the person beside you, in front of you, behind you, somewhere in this gathering. Perhaps they're watching this recording or listening to this later. But hold on to those who are supporting you and with you and love you during this time. What normally happens is about 3 days to a week after a celebration of life like this, we go back to our routines in our homes, and the condolences and the cards slow down and flowers, and then the depths of the loss really can settle in to your heart. So I just encourage you to continue to support one another, check on one another, and continue to provide that personal support just like you're doing now as much as possible. If you could, that would be great. And cherish the time you have with your loved ones, because life can be short as well, but continue to hold on to your loved ones. Then I would say hold on to the good memories that you have. We've heard some really good memories. Wow, such well done, all the words that were spoken, very special. And just seeing one picture on a slideshow like this or a little video, your mind goes back years ago or more, days ago. It's just incredible. So hold on to those good memories that you have. Let me share a quick example I felt impressed to share today. 5 years ago, my younger brother passed away suddenly. His name was Mark. And one memory that's really helped me along this grief journey is thinking of a time when I was 10 years old and he was 8 years old. We were playing hide and seek in our house, and everybody else went across the street to Grandpa's house. So we locked the front door, turned out the lights, and it was just us two little boys there in the house. I went to count, and in my unchanged high-pitched voice, I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 20, and little 8-year-old Mark went to hide. Went looking for him, couldn't find him anywhere. So I finally turned on the lights and begged him to come out. Still, he wouldn't come out. So I threatened to tell Mama on him. I knew that would work. And finally, that little 8-year-old brother of mine stuck his head out of the washing machine. He'd been hiding there the whole time. And the reason I share that is that was a memory just he and I had together. Nobody else on earth shared that. And through some really dark days of loss, passing at the young age of 40, that memory has helped bring a smile to my face, even if a tear is accompanying that. And so you all have great memories of your time, your conversations and travels and experiences. Cherish those, share those, perhaps even write those down for the next generation so that her memory can continue to live on. And then I would say, lastly, hold on to your personal beliefs. And in a group this size, there may be a variety of that, and that's understandable and respected. But those beliefs that bring you comfort and peace during a time like this, I would say hold on to those and remember those. Thinking of her and without any health difficulties, any decline in a place of peace can be very helpful at a time like this. And one place we find these comforting words is in this book we call the Bible, which is actually a collection of a lot of ancient documents and writings and letters that have been compiled together. And in the left-hand side of your Bible, Psalm chapter 23, the writer there is the Jewish King David. As he is king over all of Israel, he writes some of the most beautiful words throughout this book of Psalms. But in Psalm 23, he has what's called the Shepherd Psalm. And he illustrates God as a shepherd and human beings as sheep as we walk along life's journey, navigating through the ups and downs, through death, and even unto the afterlife, or what we call heaven today. And here's what he writes. He says this in Psalm 23, "The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want or lack any good thing. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. Leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. And yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup runs over. Surely, goodness and mercy, or unfailing love, shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever." The house of the Lord there is a reference to heaven or the hereafter. And I love to think of her there in perfect health and beauty, just like the picture on the front of your program there, where she is at peace. There's no more dementia. There's no more pain. There's no more suffering, none of that. Her mind, her body, her spirit is in perfect health and beauty. What a beautiful person. Oh my goodness, inside and out. And to think of her now dancing on the street of gold, as the book of Revelation talks about, just thinking of her in that happy place, that is a comforting thought to me. The thought and the belief of that this is not the final end, that one day we can be reunited with her and see her again. That, my friends, is very comforting. To think of her in a place where there's no more COVID-19, that right there is exciting. There's no more earthquakes. There's none of this. Place where she is at perfect peace and rest. How encouraging that is. I do want to say, by faith, we believe that heaven got a little brighter when she arrived there. But I do want to also add, I think our world is darker without her. This was a light, a beacon of hope and encouragement. Her smile. I had a similar experience my last visit with her just days before she passed away. And a couple of our assistant staff said she hasn't been talking. I haven't seen her talk. And I got there and was praying with her, holding her hand, singing with her. And she had, she could speak with her eyes. She could speak without even talking. But on this particular day, she said to me, she grabbed my hand and gripped my hand, and she did that just amazing smile, and she said, "Thank you so much." And I was like, I thought she wasn't talking very much. But she gave me a little gift at the end. I think it was just that she was so appreciative and her love that was radiant. I think I just kind of represented a lot of people in that particular moment. But I'm going to tell you what, it was really special just to know her, just to have those experiences with her. And I also want to say, as we near the conclusion here, though by faith we believe we'll see her again, however, let us also remember that we carry her in our hearts. And we honor her life in every smile, every kind word, every act of compassion and forgiveness. And every time we share a good memory of her, we're keeping that memory alive. I wrote a poem last year that I thought was appropriate, and I don't share this at all the memorials, but I thought it would be appropriate for our dear Carolyn. And it's called "We Celebrate Your Life." And it says these words: "Today we celebrate your life and memory, and choose to remember your love and legacy. A sadness now surrounds us, even time cannot erase. A void is left within us, no one could take your place. But we will think about the good times that we shared, your smile, your words, your love, the way you truly cared. And until we meet again, where we'll never be apart, you will not be forgotten. We'll hold you in our heart." And Carolyn will always be treasured in our hearts. She certainly was a very, very special person and a gift from God to all of us, especially her family and those of us that were even outside of her family. What a privilege it was for us to know her and to be a part of her life. Would you bow your heads with me, please? We're going to observe a moment of silence and reflection. And during these brief moments, maybe meditate on your own personal belief, or maybe reminisce on a good memory that you have of you and Carolyn. And please join me, if you would like to do so, in saying the Lord's Prayer together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen. Just want to say again to each and every one of you, my condolences to you. My thoughts and prayers are with you. Again, thank you for the opportunity and the privilege to be here to celebrate her life. On behalf of Assisted Hospice, our condolences again. On behalf of the Artesian as well, thank you so much for letting us take care of dear Carolyn. And of course, it's wonderful to always partner with Michael and Joseph P. Reardon here. Thank you so much for letting us be a part in this. If anyone here needs any bereavement support moving forward, feel free to reach out to me. Susan has my personal number. I have a card. Feel free to let me know if there's anything you need individually or a support group in our local area, but honored to be in your life and to support you. Thank you so much, everyone. Much love and peace to all of you. And we'll turn over to Michael. He's going to come give us our final instructions. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Ladies and gentlemen, in a few moments we'll be departing for the interment site. We'll be going to the Santa Barbara Cemetery, and as we leave the funeral home, we'll go very slowly towards the freeway. Once we get on the freeway, we have to go the speed limit, so just try to keep up. Please obey the traffic signals in town as we get to the freeway entrance, and we will arrive there and have our committal together. After that, you're all invited to the Stella Mare restaurant, which is not far from the cemetery, where a reception is planned, and Carolyn's family welcomes you all there after the burial to share and fellowship and be thanked a little bit more personally for the kindnesses you've extended to them over the last few weeks. Okay. Today, the 6 gentlemen whom have the honor of serving as her pallbearers will be Will Aldridge, Jay Campbell, Miles Henry, Ryan Mesag, Dean Fanoff, and Chris Stevens. Can I have these gentlemen please stand and come to the front of the chapel, please?